I'm back. So anyway, so that's one of the problems of the hobby, and I don't like it, but I don't know what to do about it. I think it's a shame that you know, some people are fairly convinced that they can tell if something has been altered or if it's not original, because people rechip original artifacts too. But you know, I think, hey, just because you can spot bad fakes, or even if you can spot pretty good fakes, it doesn't mean that you can spot all fakes. And so I think there's probably a lot of fakes in museums and stuff. One other thing that I was kind of wanting to mention to you is that, you know, I really don't like my videos that I've done as far as the abo work is concerned, and it's kind of that I don't think that my explanations of anything are particularly a problem, but just my technique and my ability to do that kind of work is low quality right now, and may always be. I don't know. I think that I really think the best way to go if somebody wants to be an abo napper is just start out abo and stay abo. But if you're like me and you'd like to be an abo napper, but it's too hard on your arms and shoulders and neck and all that kind of stuff, then just do what you can do and enjoy it to the best of your ability, but not necessarily make instructional videos about it. I made one the other day, and what's weird is, you know, the points, it's like management by crisis. I end up with a point out of the deal, but it takes so long and it's so much wrestling with the rock and so much problems and bad technique that, you know, I just don't like showing it. You know, I find sometimes that once I get the preform down small, like this size or smaller, that then, you know, the little techniques like pressure work and everything take over, where it's easier to control and stuff, and I just am able to salvage stuff out of it. Well, it's really a ramble day. It's only a couple of weeks till I get to go to a couple of nap-ins. I sort of wanted to go to that one in Alabama the other weekend, but I looked at the weather, and the weather was not great for the run-up to it, and I didn't really want to run that far to just have one good day or something, day and a half good. I like to kind of stretch them out a little bit. If you're trying to make a folsom, don't make your traditional preform where, you know, it's a big oval and it tapers a lot at the front and it comes in and stuff like that. I try and just make them sort of longish, and yeah, you want your biconvexity, but a lot of the times, you know, if you're not careful, you cut the tip off, if nothing else, when you're trying to do the fluting. So I think it reduces the chance of losing as much of it when you don't make you a little bitty tip like you were finishing a point, when all you're going to do is flute the thing. The other thing that somebody taught me too was to kind of do a little bit of a bevel, like if you're going to flute this face, kind of bevel the tip that way and grind it when you flute, so that when it does cut the tip off, it doesn't tend to reverse hinge and do crap. It doesn't cut it off as short. Man, I need to get some control going on here. Need to get some pressure work going pretty quick here and try and start evening stuff out. I'm trying to look at my contours carefully right now and trying to control the angle, because one of the problems is, you know, when you do fluted crap all the time, you have trouble making stuff flat because you're always trying to get you a little bit of convexity. But when you try and do flat stuff most of the time and then you want to go back and do something fluted, you gotta think differently when you're doing your hitting, and it's hard to go back and forth. First time I ever realized that was when Curtis Smith, Mr. Flat and Thin Stuff, was trying to make a dovetail point. I was sitting there watching him, and he kept talking about how they're supposed to have a little thickness to them, and he just had trouble leaving a little thickness because his natural tendency was to make it flat. So I think that it's good to remember to practice different stuff if you want to be a broad-based napper where you make a bunch of different kinds of things. My little hits are, I've got a little concavity going right up to the center line right there, and I still got a center line, so it's not a problem, and I still got too much width, but I'm trying to make stuff sort of go to the center line and die there to try and get a little convexity. Come on. I abrade too much with the heavy abrader. I do that too often. I use the abrader a lot of times in lieu of flaking with another tool, and it's problematic because I get the edges too thick and too stiff sometimes. And it's just laziness. Using the copper tools, the more powerful tools, can get you in a bunch of bad habits, because you end up sometimes taking shortcuts instead of creating really high quality edges and platforms and things of that nature. You just kind of like, good enough for the tool I'm using. And it is, I mean, you know, it's true, but, and I guess if you're always going to use those same kind of tools, it doesn't matter. Some people are concerned about the end result, and some people are concerned about the process, and I kind of like both. I don't really want to give up on my end result, but on the other hand, I don't be grinding crap out with a milling machine either. And I don't know that I'm a purist or anything. It's not that. It's just not. It's not as interesting. One of the problems with having made a bunch of videos real quick, plus having one of the problems of getting older is that I can't remember what I've already told y'all as well, not very well. What I'm trying to do is smooth and regularize. I'm trying to get this thing in to where as I come on in with the sides, I can focus on the median ridge area and not having any high spots or low spots. And then the biconvexity. The most critical part, you know, is right in front of the base. But right now, I don't know if you can see this, but when you look at this from the side, it's kind of humpy right here. And it's sort of the opposite on the bottom side. And I've got some room to come in still, but I don't have huge amounts of room. So this side almost could be fluted now, but not quite. And then that old saying, flute early, flute often, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. What happens is as you get better, you have higher expectations of being able to control the process. And sometimes a rock agrees with you and sometimes it doesn't. We're talking about grinding and doing all that crap with a big old rock, and I'm just sitting there doing that, just grinding away on it. Boy, this side looks bad. I may never be able to make a Folsom on camera. I may have to do my preform just sitting around quietly by myself and then flute it on camera or something. I don't even know if I'm in the viewfinder. I'm not sure if it matters because I never know what to do about the pressure flake and stuff, because I can't imagine sitting around watching huge amounts of pressure flaking. Probably is too boring. Well, that side isn't great, but it isn't horrible. So I probably need to try and do some stuff with this other side. And of course I could try and go ahead and flute that side and then come back and try and flute the other side. Or work the other side and then flute it. This is nothing really like normal parallel flaking as much. I mean, it is in a way, but every flake is different, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to really work the contours. And so some flakes are deep and some are shallow and some are big and heavy pressure and some aren't. Okay, I'm going to try and come oblique on this one and shoot off a little hump there, and I did get it, but it's still a little higher than I want. See, that's far enough down though. If I fluted this side first, well, I don't know. Don't want to make excuses. Well, that helped. Another thing that I'm not doing is I could be using the finer end of this itchy stick, because I'm not worried about my flake patterns at all. I could try and use a finer end and make lower ridges and stuff. How many minutes has it been? Great, I can't read it. Okay, I'm stopping and starting again.